questions or comments. Make it short. Please identify yourself, and then we can take it. Yes? Non-ISIS, then we'll go to ISIS. Yes?
Abid Sattar, I'm representing Habib and Pakistan. Ambassador, thank you very much for giving briefing on China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. I just want to ask 2 points. The general observation is that there is still some discontent among provinces in Pakistan about the implications of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, and there has been a notice by the Chinese government as well that the consensus building in the country is not up to the standard. And second, how far the private sector in Pakistan is gearing up to take advantage of the industrial production or the industrial capacity that Pakistan can use to send goods and services to China. Thank you.
I have already addressed this question. Yes, I said this is one of the challenge, and some progress already been made that for Balochistan, projects have been identified. The second largest allocation earmarked for Balochistan, how already a large portion of the road network already done. And what's more, what's being done in Gwadar, that is part of Balochistan. Gwadar is in Balochistan. So one of the 4 pillars of the whole CPAC is development of Gwadar port in this area, where not only the port facilities are being expanded, even the efforts are being made to elicit the support of the local people and capacity building of the local people also to get involved in the project. And at the institutional level, parliamentary committee has been established to ensure that the western route will get priority, and also there is a parliamentary committee also set up, and this political process goes on. But this is quite natural that when such projects of such big magnitude are undertaken, they are bound to be such kind of recession. I remember when I was ambassador to China and the 3 Gorges Dam was being built. Even then, for the first time in China's history, I think, there were points of dissent that some people were opposing, which was very rare to be in the national press and TV, that there was a difference of opinion on such projects. So, because there are some people who get affected, but overall, all people outside those areas do. So this is quite normal, but the problem is recognized, and efforts have been successful so far to develop this national access. About the role of the private sector, I am not an economist, but I think where there is money to be made, the private sector will find its ways to get involved. Government's policy is quite friendly for private sector, and they have to match up with the Chinese private sector, because the energy projects are being undertaken by private companies in China. Of course, they are supported, funded by the Chinese government or these Chinese banks, but those are private projects, what they are called IPP mode, independent power producer mode, that they produce energy, government buys them in bulk, and then distributes, etc. So there are good opportunities. As I said, even the British companies are showing interest. Americans said they are now interested. So it is a field open for the private sector also.
If I may just add, in fact, the last part that I want to clarify, Khalid has addressed it about the private sector, but about your question on domestic discontent. This discontent is not in reaction to the project itself. It is about the anxiety and quest for the benefits that will accrue from this project. Everybody wants to share. So it is a challenge, not for the Chinese, but for our political leadership, that they have to provide an equitable share to different provinces, and they should not be seeking to monopolize the dividends. In fact, they should share the dividends as much as they can. I think that is fair enough, and I'm sure the government is doing everything as Khalid has explained. So these are just routine issues which will be taken care of. One point I like to add here, Khalid mentioned about India's reaction, and there might be this particular question must be in many minds. I have a feeling that Indian leadership is itself acutely aware of the importance of this connectivity project, the importance for the region. Only 2 years ago, I remember Prime Minister Narendra Modi when it was his maiden appearance at the SAARC summit in Kathmandu, December 2014, I think. So there he was he left his prepared text and started speaking in Hindi. And he said, "हम पास हैं, मगर साथ नहीं." What a reality he depicted. It is graphic reality. Because what he meant was that we are close neighbors, but we are not together. So there is a feeling in Indian mind that we should come closer. And I think Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a statesman, so he knows the remedy now. It is for him now to take the initiative and remove the causes that keep us apart. We have to come closer, and it's not difficult to find the causes. So he knows, we know, and Pakistan has always kept its doors open for dialogue, meaningful, purposeful dialogue with India. It is India which unfortunately has always shunned dialogue, at least in the post-9/11 era, taking particular advantage of the global anti-terror sentiment. They think that it is time for us for a kill, that to keep Pakistan in the dock as long as possible on the issue of terrorism. So I hope that India will heed to reason, and this is the age of connectivity, for opportunities are in abundance, so we should all get together, try to solve problems. And otherwise, geographically, if you look at the map, India is the most isolated country in the region. It, of course, overbearing size makes it very important, but it is surrounded by countries, small countries like Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, Sri Lanka. All those countries, they share borders with India, but not with each other. So there are mental reservations in the minds of these smaller countries about India's overbearing situation. And in order to get out of the region, India will have to pass through Pakistan, as Khalid mentioned. This Chinese corridor provides a golden opportunity to India to be part of the larger connectivity initiative, and we would more than welcome to make India part of this initiative, as long as, but that requires that we should have an enabling environment where we trust India and India trusts Pakistan. So we need to overcome our difficulties and build bridges, and then become beneficiaries of these larger initiatives.
Excellencies, I've been a student of political science all my life, and we are always told that in international relations theory is a state which is the exclusive actor and unit of action. your presentations today have opened up those two black boxes called Pakistan and China and shown what individual actors, what individual initiatives can achieve. The fact that a state like Pakistan allows its senior civil servants the autonomy necessary to get on with risky initiatives without political interference or interference from the security shows the strength of the state of Pakistan. I suspect the same is true for China. There is much to learn here. I have got two specific questions. I think India is aware of the isolation, and BRICS, BIMSTEC are all attempts to get out of it. But there was an old Indian initiative, or India-led initiative called SAFTA, and my question would be a specific question. What are the implications of the Pakistan-China corridor for the rest of South Asia? Has SAFTA, or the whole idea of developing a market, common market out of South Asia, been buried? The second question would be, sir, you have used the expression critical juncture. Now, critical juncture is a time when important decisions are taken which will lock the developments for many years to come. If today is a critical juncture, what are the right decisions which will move history the right way, which are the wrong decisions that will lock us into a low-level equilibrium trap? Thank you.
Well, your second question first, critical juncture, I think the right decision is for what Prime Minister Narendra Modi has suggested, that we are neighbors, but we are not together. So I think it's time for us to get together. And how to get together, that's for Mr. Modi and our leaders to explore by sitting together. And this is a challenge to diplomacy, and diplomacy is the art of doing everything. Everything is possible. About SAFTA, I have been associated with SAFTA for quite some time, especially in its initial stages. And we have always tried that SAFTA countries should trade, and it's a pity that such a huge region, great population, and our share in global trade is less than 3 or 4%. That's it. Now, SAFTA, why hasn't SAFTA taken off? SAFTA requires equitable opportunities for all member states. Now, we have a situation where there are at least 4 countries which are LDCs. So they need special treatment, and free trade, when you apply free trade indiscriminately, then these LDCs are bound to suffer. And SAFTA also requires that all the markets, they should have equitable share, level playing field. Where is the level playing field? Because India considered itself primus inter pares, number 1 among equals. So that situation creates problems because India's market is closed. Now, most of the smaller countries in the region, they opened their markets freely to India, and what are they? They have no industrial base other than Bangladesh. Other smaller countries, SAARC countries, are just consumer markets to Indian goods. That's it. And if Pakistan was to open its market today, we will suffer the same fate. Now, Pakistan is a country which already has been able to build a huge industrial base, and tomorrow, if we open our market, now India sells a motorbike for 10,000 rupees. In Pakistan, it costs 50,000 rupees. So our industry will be closed, and we will become buyers of India's motorcycles. So that's a recipe for disaster for Pakistan's industry. So I am not against SAFTA, but there has to be a level playing field. India must remove its non-terror barriers, which are plenty, in abundance. Unfortunately, India is not ready. We keep talking and engaging within the SAARC framework. Unfortunately, India is not ready to give what it should give as a major country. I mentioned about geography. Now, all SAARC countries, let's exclude Afghanistan for the time being because it joined only 2 years ago. There were 7 SAARC countries. So 6 SAARC countries share borders with India, but not with each other. How do I trade with Nepal? How does Pakistan trade with Bangladesh? Now today Nepal finds itself blocked. India has blockaded Nepal. Just go into the reality. So if Nepal wants to import anything from Pakistan, it cannot. Bangladesh, if they want to import anything from Pakistan, we cannot export anything. So there is no transit available to other 6 countries through Indian territory. India wants transit through Pakistan into Afghanistan and into Central Asia, which we are ready to give, provided India reciprocates. So one has to see reason. So let's look for reason, and wherever there is reason, obviously there will be solutions. Thank you.
Surya?
Shamshad. So you have spoken.
Our conversation remained incomplete. Yes.
So you have very eloquently made appeal to India to join the CBEC project.
Yes.
I'm just wondering which would be the entry point for India's access to CBEC. Will it be the 2 Punjabs or some other area? Because India has taken exception, as you know, to the AJK route. And secondly, on the question of strategic dividend for game changer nature of CBEC, which are the countries you would have in mind apart from China and Pakistan as beneficiaries in strategic terms of this project?
Well, every country that falls en route will be a beneficiary. And train, if I may mention the names of the countries, for example, the train journey that the Chinese used for their first train to Madrid, you will be surprised. There were European countries, there were Central Asian countries. I had the names here. Yeah. Yeah, I'll give you the list. But about the entry point to India, I don't think that there is any entry point through Kashmir. There is no entry point. The only entry point is via Wagah border, which is being used now because we have a motorway that connects Peshawar and into Afghanistan. But again, that is possible only if, because given India's size, we need to have much bigger infrastructure than we have now. We can't handle the size and magnitude of India's transit through this route. So we'll have to develop that route. But these are theoretical questions at the moment. Otherwise, dreams one can see. I saw the dream of linking the ASEAN region with Europe in 1993. Well, I could not fulfill this, but Chinese are fulfilling this. So one can see the dream. And Manmohan Singh also, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh also saw a dream. And he spoke in Kashmir while visiting that I have a dream that we can have breakfast in Amritsar, lunch in Lahore, and dinner in Kabul, or vice versa. So that was that amount of connectivity that he wanted to pass from Amritsar into Pakistan via Wagah, and then beyond into Afghanistan and Central Asia. I think it's a good dream, but to fulfill a dream, one has to take some positive decisions also, like statesmen. So we hope there will be someday statesmanship forthcoming to make good decisions that are in the interest of all countries.
We have actually run out of time, but we have 2 hands up. So I will allow them, 2 of them. These are the 2 last questions, I'm afraid. Dr. Iftikhar Chowdhury and Dr. Amit Chandra.
Good to see you, both of you. Shamshad and I were together in New York years, and Mr. Khalid, of course, a family friend. My question is with regard to financing. You see, the thing is, the Exim Bank credit is on at 1.6%, extremely soft, because the original listing was probably for 3.5 and was reduced to 1.6 by agency issues. The problem with inviting others, and what Mr. Mahmood is reading out that paper, is probably by Brother Kumar. third of the House, is that, you see, at that rate, it's going to be very difficult for another financing entity to come in, see, at around 1.6 to 2%. So, is this essentially political? No, I mean, it's not driven by economic forces. So, the idea of getting other co-funders or partners could be somewhat rhetorical rather than real.
Yes, Khalid? You want to take the two together and maybe answer?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Thank you, Mr. Pillai. My question is very specifically to one part of the project, which is the rail connectivity. And this is something that I want to check with you in view of the Chinese experience in building overseas infrastructure. The Chinese have been much more successful in building ports and roads as compared with rail. And one of the recent examples is the suspension in Indonesia of a Chinese project which was building a 142-kilometer stretch between Bandung to Jakarta, a big project, $5.5 billion. There was another project last year in Mexico, a Chinese-funded project which was called off. There was another project which was downgraded in Thailand. So
Rail project?
Rail projects, all of them. So I'm just wondering that since rail links happen to be an important part of the corridor, is there a reservation that you have in any sense with respect to these experiences that are coming out internationally in terms of the problems that Chinese consortiums and state consortiums are facing? Thank you.
Just one minute.
Yes.
There's one young man who put up his hand. I want to give him a chance. Okay. So we take these three as the last three questions. No, this gentleman.
Hi, I'm Hua, an international student from NUS, and I want to ask this question about terrorism in Pakistan. So, what do you identify as the root cause of terrorism in Pakistan, and how else are you going to address it, other than putting 1,000 troops to protect the industry?
Thank you.
Thank you. Three questions.
Yeah.
You can share.
Well, about rail projects. Incidentally, the route that China is going to take for rail connection with Europe is not going to be built because it's already there. And the former Soviet Union, if anything, was the best in constructing railways and roads. They are so well connected. And the route that Chinese train took from Yiwu in eastern coast of China, it passed through 8 countries, China, Kazakhstan, Russia. So straight away after one Central Asian state, it enters into Russia, the train, Belarus, Poland, Germany, and France before reaching Spain. Likewise, the other train that China operated, it entered straight away from China's territory into Kazakhstan. The railway line is already there. It was already there. And from Kazakhstan into Turkmenistan and then Iran. So there's not a whole lot of any reconstruction or any construction required. Something energy. Okay. Yes, there are certain weaknesses in Chinese engineering. I agree. For example, some of the railway engines that we imported, they were not up to the mark, but they are ready to compensate for that. They are ready to improve for their machines. And Chinese have an approach, as I said, that what they say, they deliver. What they say, they mean. So now let's hope that this project they have started, they will implement. About the funding, everybody has these questions in mind because nobody has the details yet that where will this money, $150 billion, come from or come through. But Chinese have lost no time in establishing this bank. Bangladesh is part of the bank, Pakistan is part, India is part of the bank. So they are pooling the resources and then they will chip in with their own larger share And whatever are the countries which are going to be concerned, they will themselves be joining in. And every country is not like Pakistan where we have problems of funding. There are other countries like Iran. Iran might chip in, perhaps one of the richest countries in the region, and Iran falls. I don't think. So funding, I don't think there will be any problem. This arrangements can be made, and if any other aspect of the questions asked remains to be answered.
The last question on terrorism.
Terrorism, yes.
See, terrorism, as you know, there are, it's not a new phenomenon. Not Pakistan, I think. Many other countries are facing this problem, and there are internal causes, there are external causes. Internally, of course, it relates to even issues like poverty, marginalization of the people, lack of education, lack of employment opportunities. All these factors lead to resentment among people, and then they become an easy prey for brainwashing by people who have some ulterior agendas. Of course, then comes in even the sectarianism and religious fanaticism, sometimes misguided fanaticism. So all this is a mixture of these, and it is the responsibility of the national governments to address all these issues through their own resources or with the help of other friendly states. This is what the CPEC is all about. That, as I said, one of the positives impact of this CPEC would be that it will be a check against terrorism, both in Pakistan as well as in Western China. But things get complicated when such situations are exploited by foreign elements. So they have their own agenda, this is a function of their foreign policies vis-a-vis other governments. So there, of course, there are funding coming from outside. Training is given in other countries and launched. So such problems need some international regulation, which is being done to check terror financing, to also curtail, safe havens, and all these issues are there. So it is a both national effort and international cooperation, which not only Pakistan, the whole world is grappling with so far with limited success. In fact, the genie of terrorism is out of the water. It's very difficult to put it back.
And just one briefly, I'd like to add that there is a historic aspect of this problem, that it is the wars that lead to situations which generate terrorism and extremism. Pakistan never had any terrorism or militancy until we were made part of the global efforts to dismantle what the West used to describe evil Soviet empire. So they converted our religious madrasas into incubators for producing jihadis, and they made those young boys fight against the Soviet Union and dismantle the Soviet empire through that jihad. And after the Soviets were defeated, they withdrew from Afghanistan, the dividends of peace never came to Pakistan. We still are burdened with the same legacy of terrorism, drugs, Kalashnikov culture, violence. 4 or 5 million refugees, still Afghan refugees in Pakistan. And this is only one aspect. While the Afghan aftermath had not been controlled, Here we are confronted with another war. Iraq. There was no Daesh before there was this Iraq war. Before 2003, nobody had ever heard of Daesh. And nobody had heard of Daesh before Libya was attacked. So now there is a global agenda for regime changes. The powers that be, they want regimes of their choice. So they want to change regimes. They tried to send insurgents to topple Assad in Syria. And those insurgents, they were armed by the United States, funded by the Saudis and Qataris. And what happened? They went there, they occupied territory in Syria, some territory in Syria and some territory in Iraq, and they changed their mind. They said, oh, why do we dismantle, why don't we declare a state of our own? So they declared a state of their own. So there the monster is. So as long as the major powers do not play their role to keep the world at peace, the world will remain afire. It will remain burning. I think these problems are largely because of the power politics. As I mentioned earlier in my presentation, what are the challenges of today? This is the challenges of power politics, and terrorism comes in response, in reaction to what is being done by power entities. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of the Institute of South Asian Studies, I want to thank all of you for coming today. And I want to especially thank the two speakers and also the High Commissioner of Pakistan for having facilitated this event. I think the discussions is basically an exchange of views. You may not convince anybody and they may not convince you. And you may not get anywhere near the truth. But it is the only channel, only route that we have to try and find each other's position, try and adjust ourselves because of this. I think the little contribution that ISAS makes is to try and bring the countries of South Asia. We fully realize they don't have borders, they're common borders, but we provide linkages. There are communications available that can make that linkage possible. So we are probably one of the few institutes in the world that look at South Asia as a whole, because most of them are country-centric. We are region-centric. And we also try to link up with other regions like ASEAN, for instance. We have a very good dialogue going with ASEAN. And we hope to build on this. In the diaspora event that we are going to have, we will have speakers we hope to have speakers from China, from Iran, from the US, and even Japan, because these are all players in the region. You cannot understand South Asia, you cannot understand even the individual countries unless you understand the entire region and all the other players. Whether they've got the big finger in or the little finger in, they're still in it. And they all have an agenda. Self-interest motivates them. So we need to understand what that self-interest is. We cannot all be right, we cannot all be wrong, but somewhere, one day, we'll find the truth. Thank you very much.
Now, on behalf of ISIS, Ambassador Pillai would also like to present a token of appreciation to Ambassador Mahmood and Ambassador
Our book. It's a book from Pakistan, actually. By Dr. Shamshad. How? Pleasure. Thank you very much.